What's going on, Ragnarok Online fans and Ragnarok Zero Global fans? This is Ryan, and I wanted to give you a quick and at the same time unscripted, real kind of an overview of what I think of Ragnarok Zero Global after the open beta. I'm recording this actually during the open beta, but this is the Sunday of the 24th of May. Unfortunately, I will not be able to do a lot of stuff on the 25th, 6th, and 7th because life gets in the way. So I figured I will talk about what I've done so far, talk about what I liked so far, what I disliked, and hopefully end on some sort of conclusion. We'll see how it goes. I specifically didn't want to write a script for this because I feel like this is going to be more genuine, more real, like rough, and really without any fluff in there, right? So let's start with the positives. In the background, you will see like one of my streams. I think this is the second day of OBT stream. Right, positives. Number one, of course, that the first thing that I liked is the fact that it existed, right? The fact that they gave us the OBT, and the fact they let us like log in. They gave us the cash points so we can test out the cash shop system, and the fact that they increased the XP so we can level our characters a bit faster. What I also really liked, the very first thing that struck me when I logged in was the main quest, the new starting area. So I'm more used to the old starting area, you know, when you would have this island and you just kind of go to this castle, kill a bunch of porings, talk to a bunch of NPCs, and really that was about it. And just kind of you're thrown into this world afterwards. But with Ragnarok Zero Global, it wasn't like that. It was more of the usual. Well, I shouldn't say usual, but more of the zero experience that I was expecting. It felt nice. It felt guided for the very first hour that I was just kind of messing around in the game. The game was guiding me what to do. It was introducing me to certain concepts, not by an extensive amount. I felt like maybe there could be a lot more combat involved at the very beginning, but quite honestly, I mean, for somebody like me that played this game, and for you probably as well, that played this game for years and years, we don't need a lot of combat introduction, right? So that was great. The whole thing of getting to the first job was fantastic. So without having to grind the novice levels, that was great. You kind of get right into quote-unquote the game. You are a novice, but it's a very, very short period of your journey that kind of gets scrapped very quickly. You kind of thrown into choosing your character immediately, your class, very, very swiftly. I found that to be very good. That is something that the previous iterations of this game were lacking. Like every time you would make a character, you had to grind those novice levels for God knows how long and just kind of waste time on it. So in that sense, the game respects your time, and I really appreciate it. The second thing was the continuation of that, which is actually the first couple of main story quests. For those of you who have skipped the story, I will not give you any spoilers, but I really find the whole new main quest system to be very interesting and very engaging. It feels different, it feels new, it feels like it's been influenced by other games, other RPGs. The whole chat view is different from a regular quest. Everything is, it feels narrated, like you're actually part of the story. I'm not gonna say anything about the story. I myself haven't specifically finished the whole storyline because I felt like I don't want to spoil it for myself or whenever the game launches. So I've done only a couple of those quests just to kind of get a feeling of it. But so far, from what I've seen, they're very, very interesting. It's nice to finally have a storyline that goes like smoothly in the Ragnarok Online world instead of just, hey, you're there, here's your sandbox, do whatever you want, right? I mean, you can still do that, and that is another positive. So that you have this main storyline, and I'm sure a lot of stuff is gonna be locked behind the storylines, but you can still kind of not do that. You don't have to do it immediately. It's not like the game forces you to do it. You can do it, of course. It's nice as an introduction, but you can skip it. You can get a couple levels, you can grind a couple monsters, and then come back to it and whatever. So that's a positive. Another positive is that at some point, when the quests get level gated, because there are points, you know, that you need to be a certain level to progress in the campaign, I'm gonna call it. You are told, hey, here's some other stuff that you can do in the meantime before you reach the required level. So that was just fantastic thing. So the game abruptly stops for you because, hey, if you decide to go the main campaign route, you keep going, and then you suddenly can't continue because you're not high level enough. But the game is like, hey, here's a Prontera board, here's a Morok board, here's a Geffen board or something, or a Payon board, I forgot which one. And it allows you to do, you know, to catch up in your own way. And it kind of lets you back into this sandbox feeling that we used to have from back in the day, or with other releases of Ragnarok Online, which is just fantastic. I think the developers did a great job on that part, and I have very high expectations right now for this system of this new quest division and this whole storyline thing. So I'm hoping that the further we go with the storyline, it's only gonna get better and more interesting, and with a lot more cool characters, because there are cool characters in like introduced to the story. So yeah, you guys set the bar very high. If any of you guys are watching this, the developers, and I'm hoping you keep it that way because it's great. It feels new. It feels like a new experience. It's like your Ragnarok Online world, but it feels like a new experience. So that's a massive positive. Another thing I liked is the classes. I've only myself got to experience the Acolyte. I like the Acolyte class, but from what I've seen on other people's streams and videos, even there's a first job, because unfortunately we only got to experience the first job so far, is that even as the first job that you choose, you still have some sort of tweaks built into the class. Like my class has Mace Mastery built into it, which is cool. As an Acolyte, hey, if you want to go with the leveling route that I went with, Mace Mastery is probably going to be very helpful with that, especially that it gives you crit as well. So it's nice that it was moved from the Priest back onto the Acolyte. I think it's a great choice. Of course, my class, the Acolyte, doesn't compare even just by a fraction, for example, to a Mage. Mage is extremely overpowered, but I also like the fact that they are overpowered because mages are cool. I like what they've done with the class. Generally, I like what they've done with all the first jobs. So that's another positive. One other thing I would say is the fact that you get not immediately but very quickly introduced to the new system of the new gear. So you don't need to wait until like the mid game to actually start dropping gear with affixes, but just your very basic items like silk robes, puente robes, daggers, stilettos, damascus, anything else like two-handed swords, spears, whatever else, everything drops with affixes on it. And it drops from monsters that you are able to reach and kill very, very quickly, almost immediately. So that's fantastic. So as a new player to Ragnarok Zero, you get introduced to that system quickly and you're like, hey, wow, what, this gear is crazy. And for me, it felt like I knew it was gonna happen, right? Of course I knew it because, you know, I've experienced it before, but still, even knowing that, it felt like, hey, this is something new. Like I get to like kind of pick my gear immediately to fit my character, and the gear has such a massive influence on the character, even especially like when you roll flat HP rolls on like early level gear. It feels like your character suddenly becomes like twice as tanky or twice as strong if you roll attack on it or flee on it. It's great. I think it just makes the whole first job leveling experience feel like not like a chore that, okay, I have to get through this to get to my second job and that's when the game starts, but it feels like the game is actually happening from level 1, which was something that was missing in Ragnarok Online for a very, very long time. It kind of, I always had this feeling for the past couple years that I have to grind through the couple like classes first and then the actual game releases. So let's say I would have to grind through Acolyte, Priest, and then I had to get Reborn, then grind High Priest, then get to my archbishop, and that's when the game would start, and then get to my cardinal, and that's when the real game would start, right? But it doesn't feel like this with Ragnarok Zero. It feels great from the beginning, which is fantastic because the game doesn't really waste your time in that manner. So it feels like the gear that you're dropping, the stuff that you're dropping has actually some importance to your character. It's not like, oh, it's just another silk robe that gives me like +3 MDef and like 5 armor, right? And that's about it. Doesn't really do anything for me unless I drop some cards for it. Well, no, it actually works. It actually works. It helps. It's great, and characters get massive boosts depending on that gear. So that is another massive positive that I wanted to highlight. The last thing that I would say as a positive is the community. I like the fact that the people were really into making parties. Like whenever I would press D, the shortcut for the Adventures Agency, I would see a full list of parties, and that's great. That's something that was missing from Ragnarok Online for a while. Leveling parties are great. Of course, it is not gonna be like this whenever the game is like 2 years old, right? Because people are not gonna be leveling characters all the time. But it is my positive experience from the OBT, and I felt like I should highlight that. I feel like that makes sense and it's very fair. So yeah, great job on letting us use the Adventures Agency. That's fantastic. So I guess for now I'm gonna move on to the negatives. If I remember something positive, I'll highlight it later at the end of the video. But now about the negatives. And I think I'm gonna start with the lowest hanging fruit and come back to the characters. As much as I really like what they've done with the characters, I also don't like the extreme disparity in their power. As I mentioned, mages feel extremely overpowered compared to other classes, so it's like leveling a mage feels like a breeze, I bet. I haven't leveled one, but I imagine with you being able to deal so much damage to monsters, you just kind of grind Floras all day, and that's about it, right? So if you really just want to catch up on levels, mages are gonna have a very easy time. I don't know about wizards later. It's probably gonna be a lot different when we're second jobs, but as of first jobs, the disparities are massive. Some classes perform so much better than others, and I'm looking at you like acolytes. You guys, we are way behind, right? Unfortunately, but it is what it is. So that's one thing. I think they should address those imbalances in the first jobs a little bit, and I'm positive they will. I'm positive they will after this OBT, because they probably will take a look at whoever reached level 50 first, what class was that, how long were they online, and all of that stuff, and then they will derive conclusions based on that data. So I'm sure they will do that. But that's a negative feel that I had. It feels like I want to play the supportive class, which is extremely needed, and I'm hindered from the start compared to the other classes, right? So that feels bad, man. Another thing, and I'm gonna go to the cash shop now. The cash shop, the fact that they let us use the cash shop is great, and they gave us free capture points to experiment with all of this. But I feel like with this environment that we had, meaning only first jobs until level 50, no dungeons, no mid-game experience at all, these buffs feel extremely powerful, because they are, for a first job, they are just game changers, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Just having my Akko level on auto hunting with and without those buffs felt like 2 different games. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. As a first job, they are fantastic, they're overpowered, they're crazy, right? But I feel like if they introduce these buffs so early in the testing phases, they should let us progress into the mid-game and see how they fare within the mid-game. Do they still matter so much? Do they not? Are the characters gonna get a lot more powerful just by themselves? This sort of thing. I want to have a better context on judging these, whether or not these are extremely powerful or pay to win, but I can't. I can only do that on a first job level, which at this level they are extremely powerful, but I know the game is not just first job, so I want to experiment with that more. And unfortunately, this is something that I think went a little bit too far. They could have given us less buffs, maybe less buffs, and then we wouldn't have this whole discussion of overpowered stuff, and everybody would be on a different setting later. or just let us test the second classes as well and let us get a grasp of that. Talking about classes still, because there's a lot of negatives unfortunately with the classes and the leveling part. It feels like the XP that is needed to level up to level 50 is so massive that, you know, when we in the early not early launches, but early phases of the launch, so like the first few months when people are gonna be making new characters, that's gonna be bearable, even though it feels very, very, very slow. But imagine a situation that, like a year from launch, hardly anybody will be making new characters anymore, and you have to grind all of this by yourself through the quest line. Of course, the quest line gives a very, very good amount of XP, and you have your killing quests and all that stuff. But still, I feel like if nothing else gets introduced into that part of the game, the first job part of the game, like a year from launch, that part of the game is gonna feel bad. Right now it feels great because everybody's in there. It feels good, the gear is important and all of that stuff. But the moment that you're kind of left there with 10, 20 people in that phase, it's gonna be grindy, it's gonna be bad. You're just gonna want to push it forward, just kind of go through it, right? Just go through it as soon as possible to get to your better gear, to get to better places. So I don't know what to do about that. Maybe, I don't know, my suggestion would be maybe adjust these experience tables a little bit so that it doesn't feel that slow later. Maybe introduce more relevant low-level content so that there's an incentive to keep making new characters. I know you guys added the Pouring King instance, which is a low-level instance, and it's designed for first jobs to complete, and that will always be an incentive to kind of make new characters and keep low-level characters. But I don't think that's enough. I don't think that's fair enough. We need more of an incentive to either keep making new characters or keep certain characters at certain levels for certain purposes. I don't know, it's up there for you guys to discuss a little bit further, I guess. But that's how I feel about it. I feel like it's too grindy, unfortunately, and without that 50% buff that we get in OBT, I think it's 50%, right? It's gonna be a little even worse, and without all those capture points that we got for free, it's gonna be even worse for first jobs. So yeah, unless you guys plan on maybe expanding the amount of XP the main quest storyline gives, or adding XP to the Pouring King instance or something like this, you're gonna have to adjust the XP tables, because it's just obnoxious the amount of time that my acolyte is leveling by herself or in parties and she's still not level 50. So yeah, that's gonna be a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people, not gonna lie. Next negative. Fortunately, there was not a lot of content to be previewed, and I'm gonna say it. We got to preview some, and I'm happy about it. And the content that we got to preview was great, and I really like it. But I felt like in an OBT, there should be a lot more content to preview. And I'm gonna come back to the second jobs. They should have let us like at least get to level 60 or something and be a second job at some sort of level, right? They should let us preview maybe one fever map so people get an idea of what those are. Maybe they should let us preview at least one instance, the Prontera Culverts or something like this, so that more people would have an idea of what Ragnarok 0 really changes from regular Ragnarok Online. Because when I'm diving deeper into like guild discords that I'm in, a lot of people are like very, very veteran players like myself, and they're like, hey, there's hardly any changes. I don't see really what they changed in this game. I know what they're gonna introduce later, kind of. I have an idea because I've seen Taiwan, I've seen KRO, but many people don't. And they're kind of disappointed. Like, it felt like we've been building this narrative, okay, it has new episodes, new content, blah, 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 but we haven't really been allowed to see all of that new content, you know? Not all of it, of course not all of it, but at least an extent that would make it satisfactory, in my opinion. They could be a tiny bit more of it, but at a higher bracket, let's say, higher level bracket, higher difficulty bracket too. Something that would get people together for more than just farming monsters with auto hunting for 12 hours a day, you know what I mean? And kind of something that would let us get a grasp of what's different with Ragnarok Zero compared to regular Ragnarok Online. So yeah, that's a negative. Another negative, no costumes. You gave us a capture show full of stuff, but I wanted to customize my character. It's just a fun negative. It's not really a negative, but I honestly was thinking, hey, maybe we're gonna get some cool costumes just so I don't have to look at this Retro Academy hat, but it is what it is. I wasn't very lucky with dropping costumes. And on that note, we weren't introduced into the game systems either. We weren't introduced, or the game didn't really force us into it one way or another. And I feel like for an OBT, we should be given certain pushes in certain directions. And what I mean here is, for example, refining. Refining is different in Ragnarok Zero Global. Not many people know about it. Even today, it's been 4 days since the OBT started. People are surprised, hey, my gear broke at +1. I never knew that was gonna happen. And everybody else is like, really? How come, right? And then one person is like, yeah, there's no safe limit in Zero. But maybe for OBT, it would be nice if, I don't know, just an idea, right? You gave us an incentive to try out upgrading. Because some people are, nobody's gonna really try and upgrade an item if we have +7 shining weapons in the cash shop. So we're not really introduced to those changes either. We don't really know about them unless somebody else tells us, or we happen to find out by accident. So I guess that kind of ties into what I said earlier, so that we didn't really get to experience a lot of these changes that Ragnarok Zero specifically brings into the table. Another thing, I feel like people didn't have that really ties to the previous point, because I was gonna say people didn't have enough context to understand if the cash shop is good or not, and we've had so much controversy about it on the Discords. I've gotten into too many discussions on that. It's hard for people to understand something they have no idea about, and so yeah, that ties into what I've said, that we should have been given more context. But now that I think about it, I think those are just all my negative points that I've had. I wish it lasted longer. Okay, that's my last negative point. I wish the open beta period lasted longer. A week is nowhere near enough to truly explore the game, to truly grasp the feeling of novelty or like new stuff that was implemented into the game, because a lot of stuff you get immediately. Okay, the new interface, the new quest line, the new items, you get that very quickly, and that's great. That is fantastic. But yeah, like a lot of people have jobs, a lot of people have families, so a week is very, very short. I understand you need time to act on whatever data you collected during the OBT, but I think we should get a second OBT for at least another week without wiping our current account. So do not make us go for this again. Just keep it, adjust some things, re-release the OBT, and let us continue a bit forward with second jobs, so that we will all get a better context and a better grasp of everything. So yeah, that's really about it. Overall, I'm really excited. I've had a lot of fun, and I'm hoping to have a lot more fun when the game releases. And I hope you guys are just as excited as I am, really. I may not look like I'm excited, but I am. It's shaping up to be a great release. It's shaping up to be a good game. And I hope, as long as we as players don't ruin it, I'm just gonna let it sit there. We as players don't ruin it, I think it's gonna stay a great game. As long as we treat it like a game. Okay, I don't want to get into that discussion. Yeah, so I'm really excited. I hope you guys are as well. Let me know what you think about the OBT. I know one thing that I wanna do when the launch comes. I don't want to level an Acolyte anymore. I'm changing my mind. I'm going with a thief class. So it's either gonna be a rogue or an assassin. The Acolyte it's great, but auto-attacking simulator, and then a perspective of yet another auto-attacking simulator as a priest is just not there for me. So yeah, that's really it. I'll see you guys in the next videos. Yeah, subscribe, like, all of that stuff. Leave me a comment. What do you guys think about the OBT? We've gotten into a big discussion in the previous video about the cash shop. I'm hoping this discussion will be just as fun. And that's about it. I wish you guys a great day.